Hello my friends, today we're going to tackle a much requested subject, some beginner-friendly tips for creating authentic dust and dirt effects on scale model tanks. For today's demo we'll be using this T-34 that we've been plugging away on in a few previous videos, but these techniques are going to apply to any vehicle operating in particularly dusty or dry environments. To keep things simple, we're going to be using a limited assortment of products today, particularly these three offerings from Ammo by MiG in this summer dust set. If you don't have these exact products, that's okay. Just try and use something similar as you follow along at home. First up, we have this Kursk Soil Enamel Effect, which is what I'd call a mid-tone enamel mud effect. We have some Light Dust, which is a lighter dust enamel effect, as you'd expect. And finally, we have some Light Pigment, which will help provide some texture to our dust effects as we work forward here. In addition to those products in the summer dust set, we're also going to use a little enamel odorless thinner, as well as some fresh engine oil to finish off our work today. I'll provide some links in the description below to check out these particular products, as well as some alternative choices that I think would work well for these purposes if you'd like to check those out as well. Alright, to start with our weathering work today, let's pop all of our road wheels off of our tank to make sure we've got complete access to the lower hull of the vehicle. To get going, let's grab some of our Kursk soil product, load that up on our brush, and gently dab that in along the bottom of our tank's hull. Keep in mind that we want to try and keep our darkest mud and dirt effects along the bottom sections of the hull. We can also go ahead and dab some of this Kursk soil in along the upper portion of our lower hull, as if you think about it, our tracks are going to be passing by here and chucking off dust and dirt as they go along. Alright, next, let's go ahead and add some texture to our darkest dirt. We're going to grab some of that light dust pigment and gently dab that in along all the areas where we just applied our Kursk soil. Don't worry about being too fancy here, as we're going to blend this all in soon. Alright, once our pigment is on there, let's grab some enamel odorless thinner and dab that over the pigment we just applied. This is going to help blend our darkest Kursk soil into the pigment, as well as some of the untouched areas in the middle of our lower hull. While that product dries, we can hop up to the front hull of our tank and start to spot in some of our Kursk mud on the bottommost parts of our front glasses plate. Try to picture the areas that would accumulate the most dirt and grime while this vehicle is operating in the field, especially the parts closest to our moving tracks. Once that Kursk soil is on there, we can grab some more of our light dust pigment and dabble that in to blend with our enamel product on the front of our hull and add a little texture like we did before. And finally, we're going to grab some enamel thinner and blend those pigments into our enamel Kursk soil product. Be sure to replicate the same effect on the rear of our tank as well. Alright, next we have to remember our road wheels here, of course. So let's dabble some Kursk dirt onto the inside wells of those wheels. Again, nothing fancy here, we're going to blend this in a bit. And while that enamel product is still wet, let's dabble some light dust into those wheel wells and add a little texture there. And we're also going to add a little bit of our odorless thinner to the blend, as we've been doing elsewhere on our vehicle today. Alright, now I've walked away and let our kit dry for about an hour now. And as you can see, our dust and dirt pigments are starting to solidify real nicely. Now what we're going to do is grab a stiff bristled brush and start to blend in our products on the tank's hull. We can take our brush and start to gently pull down some of this dried product toward the bottommost part of the hull and create these nice natural streaking effects as though gravity is slowly pulling the dirt towards the ground over time as moisture and other additives start to gather on the tank. We're going to do the same thing on the front and the back of our tank as well, knocking off any excess pigment and blending in the dust effects with the surrounding areas of armor. And while we're at it, we're going to want to take these same blending steps on our road wheels as well. Alright, so once our Kursk soil is dry, we're going to grab some of our light dust enamel product, and we're going to start to dabble some of that on our lower hull as well. Nothing fancy here, we're just going to want to paint some of this all over our lower hull. We're going to go right over our previously processed areas of Kursk dirt as well, which is going to help blend all of our dust effects together in the end. And we're going to want to do the same thing on our road wheels, this time being sure to hit the rubber on our wheels as well. Same drill on the front and the back of our hull. We want to cover our darker Kursk soil and start to blend that in a little further onto the hull of our vehicle. Alright, next up, we're going to grab a nice fine point brush and we're going to start to do some panel line washes of sort onto our tank. Load up your brush with some of our light dust enamel product, and we're going to run that along all the raised edges of our fenders, around the grab handles on our hull, pretty much anywhere where you'd expect a little bit of dust to accumulate and stay on a large vehicle like this that's kicking up a ton of dust as it rolls along through the field. Alright, now I've gone ahead and let our next layer of light dust dry on our tank, and what we're going to do next is blend the lighter product in with the darker Kursk soil that we used in the beginning. Let's take some enamel thinner, and we're going to gently drag some of that product from top to bottom down on the sides of our tank's hull. This is going to look super messy at first, but what it's going to do is create an authentic look of various layers of dust accumulating, drying, and eventually running down the sides of our tank. While we've got our thinner out, we're also going to want to blend in some of our light dust panel line effects on the upper hull of our tank that we just did to make those look a little less stark and a bit more realistic. Alright, next we're going to walk away from our kit for another hour or so. I left mine overnight to dry, which was overkill, but still, just so you know. And now we've got a nice, natural looking blend of dust streaks on the bottom of our hull. To even these out just a little bit more, let's grab a nice stiff bristled brush and we're going to blend that pigment in just a little bit. We're going to do the same thing on our road wheels to knock off any excess on there. And then we're going to add some nice little splashes of dirt and mud to our hull. Let's load up our brush with some of that Kursk soil, and we're going to carefully flick a little bit of that product onto our vehicle to create some authentic dried splash effects. Alright, and once our splash effects are dried, we've got some fantastic, realistic dried dust and mud effects on our tank. At this stage, let's go ahead and pop all of our road wheels back onto the tank before we tackle our final steps in the process. Alright, so now I've gone ahead and attached our tracks to our T-34. These are the Tankcraft individual link tracks that we assembled and weathered in a couple previous videos. I'll link to those right here if you'd like to check them out as well. And to wrap up today, let's add some basic oil streak effects around our external fuel tanks and our filler ports. And just like that, you've got yourself some realistic, dry, dust and dirt effects to help weather up your scale model tank project. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to subscribe right here to the channel. And if you'd like to check out some more helpful scale modeling tutorials, you can do so right here. Until next time, my friends, be well, happy building, cheers.